We are diving into the hidden history of alien contact and cosmic dread woven throughout the Fallout universe.
Yeah, it's really easy to just fixate on the political collapse. The resource wars, the mutants running around. That's the immediate horror.
Right, the stuff on the ground.
Exactly. But today, we're following a parallel narrative. It's one where human ambition met a cold, silent, and frankly ancient extraterrestrial adversary.
So this deep dive sort of bypasses the immediate chaos of 2077 to connect two really monumental stories. The spectacular collapse of America's high space exploration ambitions and the decades-long, tightly guarded government knowledge of an existing, malevolent Zetan presence.
It's a whole other layer to the world's end.
We'll distill the complex history surrounding the United States Space Administration, or USSA.
Right.
Its stunning internal failures, and how that internal rot kind of coincided with a systematic Zetan operation. We're talking frightening biological experimentation, reverse-engineered tech, and even continued post-war abduction efforts.
Yeah, the big question becomes, what happens when humanity destroys itself? Only to realize it was never, ever truly alone.
Exactly. Where do you even begin to rebuild from that? Okay, let's start where the hope was brightest, maybe, and where the fall was steepest. The United States Space Administration, USSA.
Right.
I mean, for a world running dry on oil, plagued by political crises, the USSA was arguably the last great symbol of American scientific exceptionalism. They weren't just, functional, they were actually successful for a while.
They absolutely were. A huge source of national morale, projecting this image of technological dominance onto the global stage.
Yeah.
We know definitively they pulled off the 1969 moon landing.
With the Virgo 2 lander.
Yep, the Virgo 2. That historical achievement gave them critical legitimacy, momentum for all their later increasingly desperate projects.
And those endeavors got massive.
Yeah.
Their final, most resource-intensive pinnacle project, scheduled for the late 2070s, just before the end, was the major Mars shot.
Yeah, the Mars shot.
And you have to put this in perspective. By the 2070s, the world was starving for resources. Everything was scarce.
Everything.
Yet the U.S. government was still pouring massive amounts of uranium, research, manpower into this deep space exploration effort. Why?
Well, it wasn't just about science, was it?
Not at all. The Mars shot was aspirational, sure, but it was also designed to secure long-term military contracts, project power, and just maintain this fragile illusion that America could still solve any problem by building a bigger rocket.
They were literally reaching for the stars just as the ground beneath them was crumbling.
Yeah.
It's quite the image.
The commitment to this project, I mean, the sheer scale of the investment, it shows how deeply the pre-war American psyche was tied to this idea of expansion and conquest.
They looked up and saw a potential escape valve, or at least a new frontier to claim, instead of, looking down and maybe fixing the massive resource crisis right in front of them.
The fact that they kept that level of spending right up until the nuclear curtain drop just underscores the sheer denial, maybe, and the ambition driving the USSA.
Yeah, denial's a good word for it.
But the irony is just so sharp.
Yeah.
This monument to human ambition was already structurally unsound, not because of external enemies, but because of internal corruption, rot from within.
And that brings us to ArcJet Systems.
Yeah, ArcJet. The sources from ArcJet Systems, the contractor building the critical components for the Mars shot, they paint this devastating picture of the internal rot.
They really do.
We've got these terminal entries from the CEO, Thomas Reinhardt, and Dr. Rory McClellan, the project manager. They reveal that the development of the Mars shot's XMB booster was just this catastrophic spiral of escalating engineering failures and, frankly, ethical shortcuts.
What's fascinating there is how the panic manifested. I mean, CEO Reinhardt was gripped by this almost hysterical security paranoia. He ramped up automated countermeasures, demanded 24-hour coverage, not just against spies or whatever, but against internal theft. They were fighting each other as much as they were fighting physics.
And that's where the dystopian details really hit home. To prevent theft or unauthorized access to the extremely valuable engine core, Reinhardt instituted this new, horrifying security protocol. Every single employee had to wear a badge embedded with a radioactive isotope.
A radioactive isotope.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in for a moment.
Yeah.
And that isotope wasn't just a tracker, like a little GPS tag. No. It was linked directly to internal security turrets.
So if you went somewhere you weren't supposed to.
Zap. They engineered a system where the tech designed to protect the project could instantly be weaponized against the very workforce building it. They were treating their employees like I don't know, volatile components that needed monitoring and neutralizing.
The quest for space started looking a lot like a totalitarian, state-sponsored dystopia right there on Earth.
It really did. And the technical failures just accelerated this moral descent, the XMB booster project. It was constantly bumping against the absolute limits of uranium refinement they needed for the fuel.
Which led to weight problems, right? Always weight problems with rockets.
Perpetual weight problems. They were obsessively chasing efficiency they just couldn't achieve, forcing them to look at riskier, deeply unstable alternatives like deuterium refinement just to hit the required thrust-to-weight ratio.
They were compromising safety every single day.
But the real moral collapse, the absolute bottom, is detailed in Dr. McClellan's logs. During one booster test firing, a catastrophic failure resulted in a man being burned alive at the bottom of the engine core.
Oh my God.
And security lead Sam Brent
Yeah.
immediately covered it up, just erased it.
So the man wasn't just killed by a failing booster. His death was wiped from the record instantly.
Instantly, to protect the project timeline, to keep things moving.
Dr. McClellan was horrified, right? I remember reading that. Threatened to report Brent to the police, citing severe violations of basic safety protocols.
Yeah, but the message from the top, from Reinhardt, was crystal clear. The only priority was avoiding a public relations nightmare.
Human life didn't matter. Ethics didn't matter.
Nope. The ambition was so consuming, the military contracts so vital, that human life and ethical science were just sacrificed to the altar of the deadline. This internal rot confirms that pre-war America was, in a way, ethically dead long before the bombs fell. It had already lost its soul.
Which made it profoundly vulnerable, didn't it? Vulnerable to the larger cosmic issues brewing silently overhead.
Exactly. Which leads us right into that crucial parallel storyline. Because while the USSA was collapsing under its own hubris, the government had been fighting this secret, losing battle against a highly classified, decades-long conspiracy confirming extraterrestrial life.
And this wasn't like speculative sci-fi for them. This was high-level classified fact.
Absolutely. Hard reality they were grappling with in secret.
And the knowledge traces back startlingly early, like the 1960s. It all started with the return of that USSA space capsule, Clarabella 7.
Right, the Clarabella 7. The capsule came back, but the incident was catastrophic and immediately hushed up. Astronaut Colonel Hartigan was found dead, or at least biologically compromised in some fundamental way.
And the linguist, Kelly Beresford, just vanished. Poof.
That event, the loss of personnel, the contamination, whatever happened on that capsule, it signaled to a select few in the Pentagon that space wasn't just empty, it was actively hostile.
That was the spark, the foundational moment of the whole cover-up.
It had to be. The government quickly learned they were dealing with entities far outside human comprehension, way beyond anything they were prepared for.
And by 2062, this wasn't just anecdotal evidence or weird incidents anymore. The U.S. government was forced, internally at least, to recognize the undeniable existence of aliens.
Even while the public sphere was, saturated with misinformation and dismissive crackpot theories, often encouraged by the government itself. Pentagon terminal reports document this pivot from disbelief to classified acceptance. They knew.
And we have specifics, don't we? There's that May 3, 2062 report.
Yep, the report on UFO, codenamed Paladin. It crashed in Maryland. The military immediately dispatched recovery teams, but the craft's technology just completely defied their capabilities.
What happened?
Advanced shielding, maybe? Or perhaps some kind of active invisibility field. Whatever it was, it prevented any successful recovery. Imagine that a humiliating failure for the most advanced military on Earth. They couldn't even touch it.
And that failure led to a chilling official conclusion in the report. It stated plainly,
"We are not alone." Simple as that.
Wow.
Wow.
We are not alone.
It's an admission of profound national weakness, isn't it? Here they were, trying to hide their own failures at ArcJet, covering up deaths, while simultaneously failing to even physically interact with the technology of an enemy operating within their own airspace. The stage was set, not for war, not in the way they understood it, but for silent occupation and experimentation. The Zetans were already here. Okay, let's turn now to the perpetrators of this cosmic terror. The Zetans themselves.
The little green men. Or not so green, actually.
Yeah, more like greenish-yellow. They are the primary alien species encountered, and while they fit that classic Roswell Grays model, the details really amplify the element of body horror. They feel biologically wrong, incompatible with our world, and utterly indifferent to human norms.
It's the description. Yeah. Small, lean, greenish-yellow humanoids. The most immediate shock is their physical structure, right? Disproportionately large, elongated heads housing those massive black, opaque eyes.
Exactly. Almost no features otherwise. Their bodies are virtually hairless, they have green blood, and they lack external ears or nostrils. It suggests a totally different sensory apparatus. Those large craniums imply a heavy reliance on neurological functions, maybe mental communication, far exceeding human capability.
The hands. The hands are the really specific, deeply unsettling detail that defines the Zetan horror for me.
Oh, absolutely. They possess 3 long, slender fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And the key thing, they're suction-cupped.
Suction-cupped. And no thumbs.
No thumbs at all. They use these digits not to grasp or manipulate tools like we do with fine motor skills, but to wrap around and grip objects. Or subjects. The lack of an opposable thumb just underscores their total alien nature. Their evolutionary path never required the kind of dexterity we associate with building civilizations, tool use, writing.
They're designed for something else entirely.
Something utterly different. Yet here they are, using those terrible suction-cupped fingers to systematically violate human specimens.
And their diet reflects this too, doesn't it? It's not like they're eating Salisbury steak.
Not even close. They consume specialized alien squid and worm food, which, you find stored aboard their vessels. They are fundamentally incompatible with Earth's ecosystem.
Which suggests they require specialized environmental conditions to survive here. They've committed resources to a very long game on Earth if they need all that infrastructure.
Precisely. This isn't a casual visit, because the Zetans are not mere interstellar tourists who happen to crash land. They are occupiers. They have a chillingly structured long-term objective, systematic abduction, followed by cryogenic preservation, leading to endless long-term experimentation on humans and other Earth creatures.
So we're basically lab rats, biological resources.
That's exactly how they seem to view Earth, as an endless, self-replenishing biological resource pool.
And the timeline is just terrifying. You said earlier their interaction with Earth predates the nuclear apocalypse.
By centuries. We have evidence, like recovered logs and artifacts on the mothership, pointing to operations dating back to at least the 1600s, possibly earlier.
The 1600s, so the Great War, the most defining moment in recent human history, was just a blip for them, a slight disruption in their ancient, ongoing research program.
It seems that way. Business as usual, maybe with slightly more irradiated specimens to study.
And their operational headquarters, the Mothership Zeta, is a monument to this indifference. This isn't just a scout ship.
Oh no, it's massive. A long-term study vessel that, as of 2277 in Fallout 3, remains in permanent, undetected orbit above the Earth.
It functions as a specialized, self-sustaining prison and laboratory complex, capable of holding countless abducted life forms in stasis.
Including, famously, the player character from Fallout 3, the Lone Wanderer.
When you realize the sheer commitment required maintaining a massive orbital facility over a distant, hostile planet for centuries, it speaks to an objective that just transcends human concepts of war or colonization.
It's purely scientific, purely clinical, and therefore deeply impersonal and horrifying. They are the ultimate cosmic dread because they don't hate us. They simply catalog us. They observe. They collect. They dissect.
We're just data points in their long-term study.
Yeah.
Chilling. Okay, so the Mothership Zeta is where the Zetan scientific mission takes its most gruesome turn, right?
Oh.
Venturing into pure biological horror.
Absolutely. And the, let's say, crowning achievement, or perhaps the ultimate violation of Zetan science, is the creation of the Abominations.
These aren't just random mutants from the Wasteland like a Deathclaw or something.
No, these are distinct. They are biological weapons, intentionally created by mixing human and Zetan DNA.
Human and Zetan DNA mixed. What do they look like?
They're described as large, pale chimeras. They have these distorted human characteristics, which makes them disturbingly familiar, but they're functionally brutish, seem unintelligent, and are entirely hostile. They basically serve as specialized security drones or attack dogs aboard the vessel.
And they're only found on the mothership?
Strictly confined to the mothership's dedicated biological research section, yeah. The scale of this genetic hybridization program is staggering. The Zetans are literally taking our most fundamental biological building blocks and remixing them with their own.
Purely to create attack dogs for their prison corridor.
Exactly. It just reinforces the idea that human life is merely a temporary, disposable resource for their endless genetic research. A terrifying realization for any survivor who values their own sovereignty, their own humanity.
It really drives home the resource angle. We're just raw materials.
Which begs the important question. Just how superior is this alien science?
Yeah, what kind of tech are they working with?
Well, the technology encountered aboard the mothership suggests a civilization that has mastered physical laws that pre-war America, even with its most secret black projects, was decades, if not centuries, away from understanding.
Like what?
Well, their methods of control are terrifyingly high-tech. Consider the brainwave siphon.
Brainwave siphon? Sounds unpleasant.
It is. This specialized device is used purely for extracting raw neurological data from captive subjects. This isn't simple interrogation or lie detection like a polygraph.
It's reading minds.
More like harvesting them. It's a complete violation of mental privacy, capable of harvesting a person's thoughts, memories, sensory data as pure information, like downloading a brain.
That's a profound philosophical horror, isn't it? They don't need to torture you for information. They just siphon your conscious existence as data.
Precisely. And contrast that with their medical science.
Yeah.
It's capable of healing injuries that would be instantly fatal to humans, far beyond the capacity of even advanced pre-war stim packs.
So they can heal almost anything, but they're using it on specimens they're experimenting on.
And then there's their cryoscience. They have mastered long-term stasis to a terrifying degree. Remember Colonel Hartigan?
The astronaut from Clarabella 7 back in the 60s.
The very same. He is found aboard the Mothership Zeta, perfectly preserved, 2 centuries later.
200 years. Just frozen.
This technology confirms that the Zetans treat their specimens not as temporary captives, but as subjects for perpetual, indefinite study. They're completely indifferent to the flow of time on Earth.
And post-war factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave, they recognize the value of this tech, right? They try to get their hands on it.
Oh, absolutely. They're constantly trying to recover and reverse engineer the alien power cells and power modules that run these magnificent, terrible devices. Alien tech is the ultimate prize in the Wasteland for those who know about it.
Okay, now we arrive at the point where the narrative of cosmic horror just transcends biology and technology and plunges straight into the purely bizarre.
Ah, you're talking about the shrine.
The moment where innocent pre-war Americana is just defiled by ritualistic death. It's so weird.
It is truly one of the most memorable and disturbing elements in the entire Zetan lore. Aboard the mothership, the lone wanderer discovers this sacrificial shrine. And it's not just some generic alien monument. It feels like a dedicated ritual space.
And what's at the center of this ritual? Not some cosmic deity, not some alien god?
No, it's a large circular chamber dedicated to a pre-war children's animatronic Giddy-Up Buttercup.
The little mechanical pony toy.
The very icon of innocent childhood entertainment. That's the centerpiece. And it's surrounded by multiple human corpses, laid out like sacrifices.
Sacrifices by the 3-fingered, suction-cupped aliens.
Yeah. Let's just pause on that image. 3-fingered aliens, incapable of the fine motor control needed to build a simple lock, apparently. Yet methodical enough to conduct ritualistic sacrifice, using a child's toy as their focus.
What does it even mean?
Who knows? But this fusion of innocent, familiar culture with incomprehensible, ritualistic violence, it elevates the horror past simple alien invasion tropes.
It really captures the sheer indifference of the cosmic horror, maybe more perfectly than any ray gun could. The Zetans aren't just harvesting our bodies, they're analyzing and warping our cultural memory.
They took something profoundly human and innocent and turned it into an icon of death, maybe just because they could. Or maybe it's part of their analysis. We don't know.
It's the ultimate statement that nothing on Earth, from our physical bodies to our most cherished childhood memories, is sacred or safe from their clinical alien analysis. Just creepy.
Now, despite this overwhelming Zetan technological superiority, the U.S. government did attempt to fight back, or at least catch up, in the decades leading up to the Great War. They weren't completely passive victims.
They had some successes, right? Even if they couldn't stop the Zetans entirely.
Yeah, some known successes in acquiring and utilizing Zetan technology. We know, for instance, they recovered at least one flying saucer, rumored to have been near Area 51, though apparently it was later lost and then recaptured out in California, which just highlights how volatile and hard to control this technology was.
But the most crucial success story in this desperate scramble for technological parity involved artificial intelligence.
Right. Specifically, Artificial Intelligence Project 59234, better known simply as Skynet.
Skynet, housed at the Sierra Army Depot. Not related to the movies, presumably.
Presumably not, though the name choice is interesting. Skynet was initiated as a research project way back in 2050 and actually achieved true sentience in 2059.
A sentient AI pre-war.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this AI was definitely a product of the government's efforts to incorporate recovered alien technology into their own military systems. By July 2077, in those final frantic months before the war, the military converted the Sierra Army Depot facility into an automated defense system using a cloned version of Skynet's intelligence. The original was left behind.
Okay, but here's the truly astonishing reveal, the part that tells you what the military really feared. Skynet was designed with a unique defensive capability.
It could potentially block telepathic and psychic commands.
Block telepathy. That goes way beyond standard countermeasures against, like, Chinese hackers or missile attacks.
Way beyond. It strongly suggests the U.S. military wasn't just preparing for conventional warfare. They were actively developing defensive mechanisms against known, or at least highly suspected, Zetan abilities.
Abilities to influence or directly subjugate human minds.
Exactly. They were trying to build a fortress brain, an AI immune to alien meddling. That's desperation defined. They knew they were facing something that could attack thought itself. And of course, the nuclear devastation didn't deter the Zetans one bit. If anything, it probably made their job easier by reducing human interference in observation.
So their operations just continued.
Oh yeah, their operations continue, evidenced by numerous crash sites and sustained abduction protocols throughout the post-war landscape. The Zetan presence is actively maintained through these reconnaissance crafts.
We can actually track the physical proof through these crash sites, right? There was that initial disc-shaped ship recovered in California pre-war. And then much later, in 2277, in the capital Wasteland near D.C., the discovery of the Theta craft.
Right, the Theta craft. This is a small, stealth-designated disc that crashed near the town of Minefield. Though heavily damaged, the wreck started broadcasting a very specific radio signal.
And that signal wasn't random static.
Not at all. It was a beacon. A highly focused lure, specifically designed to attract the lone wanderer for immediate retrieval.
So the broadcast led directly to the lone wanderer's abduction by the orbiting Mothership Zeta.
Exactly. It proves unequivocally that 2 centuries after the bombs fell, the Zetans are still actively monitoring the surface, deploying decoys, setting traps, and collecting specimens.
And it didn't stop there. There's later evidence too, right? Like in the Mojave.
Yep, further confirmation. We have the unnamed recon craft containing 3 aliens found crashed in the Mojave Wasteland in 2281. It shows continuous, systemic Zetan reconnaissance efforts across the continent long after the war.
Okay, and finally we have perhaps the ultimate proof of Zetan infiltration into the post-war world, something that shows they aren't just flying overhead, but actively walking among the irradiated cryptids of Appalachia.
Ah yes, the Flatwoods Monster.
The Flatwoods Monster, one of Appalachia's most famous cryptids.
And according to the lore established later, particularly around Fallout 76, the Flatwoods Monster is not a mutant, nor is it some indigenous irradiated creature that evolved after the bombs.
What is it then?
A Zetan encased in a distinctive, specialized purple spacesuit.
A purple spacesuit.
Yeah, the suit is notable for its glowing white eyes and this large, spade-shaped frill or cowl around its neck and head. It matches the classic descriptions of the real-world cryptid, but here it's confirmed Zetan tech.
The fact that they're wearing specialized protective gear to move across the radiated wasteland, it suggests a methodical approach, doesn't it? To colonization, maybe, or at least sustained monitoring on the ground.
Absolutely. Starting as early as 2104 in Appalachia, based on 76's timeline, the Flatwoods Monster isn't just some spooky campfire story. It's a Zetan field operative.
It confirms that long after humanity destroyed its own civilization, the ancient alien experiment continues, adapting easily to the newly irradiated landscape. The horrors of the wasteland aren't just human-made, they're fundamentally cosmic, too.
The Zetans are just another terrible predator in that ruined world.
So when we connect all these disparate pieces, the internal rot and moral sacrifice at ArcJet Systems, humanity racing desperately towards Mars, we see all overshadowed, don't we, by this ancient, silent adversary already operating within Earth's atmosphere for centuries.
Yeah. The height of our human ambition was always, tragically, beneath the depth of our cosmic ignorance. We were looking up, but we weren't seeing what was really there.
The deepest tragedy here isn't just the bomb, then. The real gut punch is realizing that even at the height of pre-war paranoia, when the U.S. government was secretive, desperate, building anti-psychic AI named Skynet, they were playing perpetual catch-up. Always reacting.
Always one step behind an ancient, highly advanced enemy they couldn't even publicly name, let alone effectively contain.
Yeah.
The internal rot of the Mars shot wasn't the main cause of collapse. It was a devastating symptom of a deeper sovereignty crisis that had nothing to do with China or the Soviets.
It had everything to do with the things watching from orbit. Which leaves us with the ultimate chilling, provocative thought for you, the listener, to carry forward. Knowing the Zetans have been visiting Earth since the 1600s, and knowing the government knew about them for decades before the Great War, we have to ask,
Was the final catastrophic war truly the result of purely human failures over resources and ideology?
Oh, it was the paranoia, the resource starvation, the total collapse of international trust subtly influenced, maybe even intentionally orchestrated, by the silent, thumbless occupants watching from the mothership above.
It raises the ultimate question about sovereignty in a hostile universe. Who truly inherited the Earth when the bombs finally fell? Was it humanity clinging to the ashes, or something else entirely?
We'll leave that thought hanging in orbit with the mothership Zeta. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.